Due to demand, I have decided to make a video about F1 drivers who are or were great friends, with the were part only being due to particular drivers not being with us anymore rather than a friendship breakup. I think it can be said that my channel hasn't exactly been the most wholesome in terms of the content I have created, but let's change this for the moment, as I will now display 10 sets of F1 drivers who are or were great friends. My first mention will be the friendship of Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso. They may have been rivals, with both challenging for the championship in the early 2010s, but the two have always had a soft spot for one another. Whether it be giving a pal a lift back to the pits, or exchanging some clever banter between one another during interviews, they would frequently be seen together on the paddock and seem to have enjoyed the company. You could certainly tell the two have admiration for one another, as they always look so happy when they see each other, and isn't it just so wonderful to see? Second, and although these two were immense rivals off the track, make no mistake that Niki Lauda and James Hunt were actually friends rather than bitter enemies, which was displayed in the movie Rush. Although they had one of the most thrilling battles in the 1976 season, they actually got on very well and were close friends. This stems back to the Formula 3 days where they were rising up the categories together. Their friendship even showed post F1, as Lauda helped Hunt beat his alcohol addiction and helped him with his finances. When Hunt died in 1993, Lauda notably said that he was one of the very few he liked and a smaller number he respected. Some might still argue that these two were not that close, with Lauda saying on an interview with Graham Bessinger that he had no friends, but I'm willing to bet that he'd make an exception with James Hunt. Next up, and there's already a strong bond between Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher, and as an extension, you could add Michael Schumacher and Vettel, as the two were master and apprentice as well, and did become close friends, with Michael being especially proud when Vettel won his 4 championships. I think this really exemplifies the sort of person Vettel really is, as to his selfless personality along with his kind and caring nature. There have already been some good wholesome moments between the pair, notably at the end of the Portuguese Grand Prix, where the two acknowledged one another as Mick overtook Nicholas Latifi late in the race, and I look forward to seeing more wholesomeness between the two drivers. Michael Schumacher may have had a couple of people who despised him, but he did also have his friends, particularly in Jos Verstappen. It has been revealed that the former Benetton teammates actually forged quite a friendship, where they would frequently travel to many Grand Prix together and even went on holidays with one another. Max Verstappen has also shared his experiences of his fun times holidaying with the pair, as well as with Mick Schumacher, who of course lines up with Max in today's F1 grid. Truly a great story, with perhaps potential of another friendship between the next generation of the Verstappens and Schumachers. Taking it back to the 70s, and the bond between Jackie Stewart and Francois Cevert is one of the strongest friendships between F1 drivers that we've ever seen. Stewart took Cevert on as a protege when Cevert joined Stewart at Tyrrell in 1970, and would go on to learn a lot from the F1 legend. Eventually, Stewart would consider Cevert to be family, and the two would frequently travel together and hang out amongst their girlfriends and families. Basically, these two became very much inseparable. Unfortunately, on that fateful day in 1973, Cevert would be killed in a qualifying session at the final Grand Prix of the season at Watkins Glen. Jackie Stewart was to retire in 1973 regardless, but decided along with Tyrrell to pull out of the race and retire early out of respect. Even to this day, Stewart has said that he is still majorly affected by the loss of his great friend, a sad ending to a terrific friendship. Taking it back to the current day, and Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly have formed one of the stronger friendships in the current times. With their friendship going as far back as the karting days, Leclerc and Gasly are always sure to mention their strong friendship when they are asked about one another. Charles was one of the first to congratulate Pierre on his win at Monza, and the pair frequently gamed together during their spare time. And although the pair have tragically lost some of their best friends in this sport, the bond between Leclerc and Gasly has remained as strong as ever, and I wish them a long-lasting friendship. Ayrton Senna and Gerhard Berger had what I would describe as a different friendship compared to most drivers, as the two were often involved in ridiculously funny pranks directed at one another. Whether it be from Senna's briefcase being thrown out of a helicopter mid-air, or Senna putting shaving foam in the shoes of Berger, the two always provided many with an absolute laugh. We know the friendship was sadly cut short with Senna's death in 1994, and we may have missed out on some extra pranks post F1, but the laughs we did get will never be forgotten, such was the strong friendship. Johnny Herbert and Damon Hill are a pair which you probably weren't expecting to see here, but nonetheless, they have actually been friends now for over 35 years, spanning all the way back to the Formula 4 days. But it was really in the post F1 days where the two became regulars on Sky F1 where we really saw the friendship blossom through funny and entertaining pleasantries which has made them quite the duo on TV. Additionally, they have written a book together documenting their experiences in Formula 1, and as both are still on Sky, we should continue to see this great duo in action. A friendship that has stuck out to me in recent times is the one between George Russell and Alex Albon. You could add Lando Norris and even Charles Leclerc as an extension, but I want to talk particularly about Russell and Albon, and I honestly think this is one of the sweetest friendships in F1 history. The two frequently visit one another, exercise together, game together, just about do everything together, and it's clear to see the two are always looking out for one another. An example of this was when Russell defended Albon from critics after a less than ideal quali session at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Russell too has shown immense faith in his good friend, saying that he'll definitely return to Formula 1 soon. Albon has as well said great things about Russell, believing that Russell would genuinely challenge Hamilton in the Mercedes. I sure hope this friendship lasts a lifetime, as this is the most wholesome friendship right now in my opinion. Lastly, and I have to go with the friendship of Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen. It funnily enough started over a game of badminton before the duo were even teammates. If you're curious to know, Vettel lost. Räikkönen is known to stay out of the spotlight and stay distant, though Vettel is one of the very few who Kimi Räikkönen has allowed to come into his inner circle. Even when Vettel and Räikkönen were no longer teammates at Ferrari, Räikkönen mentioned his desire to travel with Vettel on the odd occasion. This friendship works in my view as they both are always honest and authentic with one another, and that is probably the reason why both see each other as a friend. And to be honest, they work really well in tandem, providing some nice moments for all to enjoy. I think this friendship goes to show that you can have different personalities and still find a way to create a strong friendship. I know there are many other friendships that I have missed, but I shall one day make a sequel to this topic. Well, maybe. We'll see how it goes. I am sure as well that as we advance through time, it seems that F1 drivers are now more friendlier with one another nowadays, and we should continue to see more friendships arise into the future. I think it's nice to see drivers make more of an effort to reach out to other drivers and becoming more supportive overall. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel for more content, and tell me which F1 friendship is your favourite.